get too much attention.
Too much. Is that a good thing? Seems like most of the stuff I read today was pretty much about that Article 13, which is supposed to be the end of the internet in Europe. What articles like this saying Europe just passed sweeping new copyright rules that big techs hate. There's other ones here. It says EU passes divisive Article 13 copyright law. And it just goes on, like this one saying Article 13 EU approves controversial copyright law. Services like YouTube, Facebook, and Google News will feel the effects the most, but memes, GIFs, and snippets are protected more than ever before. As this one says here, the European Parliament voted Tuesday to approve fiercely contested changes that make platforms such as YouTube responsible for copyright infringements committed by their users. Sites like Google News could also be required to pay publishers for using snippets of their content. The proposal was opposed by tech companies, which warned they would need to build expensive content filters and stop linking to publications. Internet activists argued that the changes would lead to censorship. I have been reading this, and for the most part, to my understanding of it, the reason why it's crazy is because a lot of these platforms, like say things like YouTube, they will need to screen out every single use of a copyrighted content, even if it's fair use. So that's why they use things like memes, because they usually use things like pictures, they make it funny. But in this case, you need to get permission every single way. And I would imagine if the platform doesn't make sure that you had, quote, permission to use it in that way, even if it's fair use, then they could be held liable by the company. So for example, I would imagine if someone just makes, like they said, like a meme, for example, of some character for fun, then the creator of that could say, hey, I didn't give these guys permissions to make a meme out of me, and then they can sue YouTube, so it's too much liability. So with that, they're saying you're gonna need some kind of filter to screen this out, but common sense wise, how is that even gonna work? When you have so much content put out there, how does a computer know the difference between things like, say, a meme versus someone actually ripping someone's work like as is in every single way? Or how does it even know what's fair use? Or I guess something as simple as a news aggregator, like say with Google. Usually when you search for stuff, you see little snippets, like just a brief text, for example, of what the story is about from the source, and then it would provide a link and you go there. But apparently even that would be protected under copyright. Like just linking to something in that case, you would need permission from, like, I guess, the source? How ridiculous is that? It's kind of funny because they often say when it comes to things like ridiculous rules and stuff like that, the only people that win are the lawyers. This one says, creating work for lawyers. Proponents of the bill said those claims are exaggerated, reflecting the high degrees of uncertainty about how the law will be applied. Google said the measure will lead to legal uncertainty and will hurt Europe's creative and digital economies. The details matter, and we look forward to working with policymakers, publishers, creators, rights holders as EU member states move to implement these new rules, the company said in a statement. I know for me, one of the first things that comes to my mind are people who do things like video games, like streams or videos. Like there, technically, that would fall under this copyright rule, and unless they have specific permissions from the company to play the games and, you know, add their own commentary, like that would, I guess, be illegal as well. Like the platform has to screen that out. Like even the Twitch platform, like in this story, it says Twitch has previously warned streamers about the impact Article 13 may have on content creators. Due to the new law, Twitch and European streamers may have heavy restrictions on their channels. So because of that, people are wondering where they could go, like potentially in terms of platforms, because if that's the law, so to speak, of the country and stuff, they have to abide by it, right? I guess the other thought with this is, are companies actually going to deal with this in terms of putting things like filters and so forth? Or are they just on an outright ban, I guess, anyone from Europe from accessing their service? I mean, that would be kind of sad if that's the case. It just makes me wonder, who comes up with this stuff and approves it? It's so draconian. The only people I could imagine that would benefit are companies, because they now have, I guess, the power to take anything down for any reason just by using this as a weapon, I guess you could say. Like if they don't like you saying something about them, they can immediately say, oh, I'm gonna copyright you. Kind of like in YouTube, that's actually a big problem, where a lot of people actually abuse the system just to take things down, for example, that they don't like. I mean, that's kind of sad if that's how it's gonna end up over there. It does make me curious though, is there actually anyone who's just like an average individual that just consumes things like content that thinks this is actually a good idea? It's kind of interesting to hear the perspective in that case. Or is it literally just big companies and all that wanted it just so they can have full control? And then I read this one, which basically talked about police going after, I guess, drone flyers flying in places where they shouldn't. It says, drone sighting puts police on their toes. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right. It says, UAV spotted above police headquarters, Panmanwaswamy Temple. Unidentified persons flew a drone over at least 2 restricted airspace in the capital late Monday, according to the state police. So according to this, they said they spotted the drone flying over the police headquarters, and as well, people have things like the aeronautical charts, which clearly tell you can't fly there, but they still did, and they had a night vision capable aerial surveillance camera, according to this, on the temple, which is how they caught the image of the drone. The interesting thing about this story is the description of the drone, because most stories when you read things like this, they kind of make it sound like it's a huge aircraft type of drone, but this one says toy drone. A trained aviation expert had analyzed the images and concluded that it could be a toy drone. The unmanned aerial vehicle seemed too small to carry any payload, such as a night vision camera. The drone appeared unstable and moved unusually fast, and said the unidentified flyer appeared to have remained in control of the UAV, and he could have kept it in remote control radio range by tailing it on a car or motorbike. But ultimately it says the back-to-back sighting of unidentified drones over the strategic location in the capital have put the police on their toes. I would guess even if it's a quote toy drone, like a nano one that they're guessing, they'd still treat it the same, correct? If there's something flying over the station, or let's say within like an airport or whatever. But again, it's just kind of interesting how this is the first thing I read where they specifically tried to tell people that it's a toy drone, not something like humongous. How come so many of the ducks look exhausted today? Alright, see you guys later.